Good morning, Newport. The election is almost upon us, and the worst of the political tricks are coming to light. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, here's an update on Newport's clever buoy.
What we're doing now is monitoring this, and the lifeguards are working on identifying the movement out there. But most importantly, we're looking, and I'm speaking about, we're looking for federal, state, and local funds to help fund this because the city of Newport Beach has not expended any funds. This is a pilot at no cost to the city, but in 60 days it will run out.
It's not like California has anything else to spend money on. Education, roads, infrastructure. The happiest of news of the night, Kevin Muldoon had his baby.
Heather and I are very proud to announce our first son, first baby, Cannon Thompson Muldoon. I named him, it's a family name, but I also hope he becomes a quarterback. So hence the name Cannon.
Congrats, Kevin. Now let's shift the mood quickly and talk about a local tragedy that's shaken the community. On May 25, 2016, the company that hauls our trash in Newport Beach, CR&R, was responsible for killing a local child while performing their duties.
I'd like to summarize and just say that CR&R should absolutely not be hired to haul more refuse for the city of Newport Beach. They have a horrible, horrible safety record. Since they killed my kid over 2 years ago, I have tried many times and have found them non-responsive to improving their operations around school.
And somehow, the council was still discussing whether or not we should renew their contract. Maybe it's because members of the old Team Newport have repeatedly received campaign financing directly from the company itself. That's Piotr, Duffy, and O'Neill. Kevin Muldoon and Diane Dixon at least returned the money. Dixon will be joining us on the show this morning. The baffling part of the city council meeting was that despite tragedy at hand and the ability to make a change that citizens were advocating for, the council voted to renew the contract with CR&R 5-1, Jeff Herdman being the lone dissenting vote.
In our city recently, with what's been going on, you know, the amount of delivery trucks and construction trucks and cement trucks, it's just really something. It's a miracle to me we haven't had more accidents.
A bigger miracle would have been for city council members to consider the safety of children rather than the interests of their campaign financiers. Can you believe it? Political kickbacks over the safety of the kids? A new low for Team Newport. We've already taken a look into campaign finances in our last episode, so check that out if you haven't yet. This morning, we'll take a look into the most disruptive component of the campaign season: mailers. They're tricking everyone. With just days to go before voting ends, campaign mailers have been flooding both our mailboxes and our inboxes. And what do you know? They are filled with blatant lies. We're going to show you some of the worst ones. Duffy Duffield and Scott Piotr are not endorsed by the fire department. They're endorsed by one of 4 fire PACs. Crime did not really go down on Duffy and Piotr's watch. Calls for service and arrests actually went up the last few years, and Duffy and Piotr actually supported budget cuts to both police and fire. Duffy is claiming that he helped create the city's first harbor department, though he's legally not allowed to be involved with any policy regarding the harbor. And now for the slander against the challenging candidates. They really went after Joy Brenner, longtime Newport Beach resident. She's been trying to put an end to the political machine, sometimes known as Team Newport. You can check her out in our very first episode. Someone had the nerve to claim Joy gets her money from developers. That could not be further from the truth. Joy has received all of her campaign funds from local citizens in a true grassroots effort. The person who funded a lot of these mailers and has donated $50,000 himself to a committee working to re-elect Duffy, Muldoon, and Piotr is Howard Amundsen Jr., a big-time proponent of high-density development in Newport and a strong LGBT rights opponent. The whole thing is laughable when you know who Joy Brenner really is, a sweet, morally conscious local who's had enough of these political games and has the experience to change it. They even claim Joy is a closet Democrat, a big crime in Newport, because she supported a women's rights campaign and gave a few $100s to liberal causes. So the moral of the mailers: do not even look at them. If you must use them for something, may I suggest using them to roll up one of Duffy and Piotr's famous doobies from their weed farm that I'm sure you've heard about by now. Instead, do some investigating into what each candidate has actually accomplished as a citizen or a leader of the city, or even better, we'll do the work for you, and you can watch the interviews on our show. We've interviewed every member who is running for city council, except for the 2 who declined, Duffy and Piotr. All these interviews are found on our website, www.goodmorningnewport.org. And now, without further ado, let's give it up for Riley, who's sitting down with City Councilwoman Diane Dixon.
Thank you, Alex. I'm here with Councilwoman Diane Dixon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Riley.
We recently talked about on the show Bob McCaffrey's letter and the protest that occurred at Scott Piotter's campaign finance party. And afterward, you unendorsed Scott Piotr. Was it because of the actions of Bob McCaffrey and the endorsement of the letter?
Probably not directly or specifically. I did withdraw my endorsement of Mr. Piotr when it came to light that he had not disclosed his business relationship with the mayor, which is legal. Let me emphasize that, that is legal. But our council policy is very specific about relationships with one another if there is a financial relationship.
A lot of people have been critical of cronyism happening on the council. So it was the business relationship between Duffy and Scott Piotr that finally made you
Well, it should have been disclosed. Again, it was legal. It should have been disclosed. It was not done according to process.
And that's what you had a problem with?
Yeah, transparency, disclosure, and for a council-appointed position, council members should have been aware of that.
Right, and you were first elected with Team Newport, some of the other council members on council now. Would you say you're still a part of
There's no
a
such,
team
Mr.
at all?
Muldoon has said this too. He said this at a forum. Team Newport was a 2014, he calls it a brochure. That's probably a good terminology. From day one, when I was elected in November of 2014, and then in 2015, instantly policy making starts happening, and we all charted our own path. And I'm independent of anyone. I will look at an issue and assess the pros and cons, the advantages, disadvantages, the benefits or disadvantages, and I make my own decision.
When we interviewed Jeff Herdman, though, he was very sure that there is a political machine.
That's his
block
opinion.
voting happening.
That's his opinion. I can only speak to how I vote. No one called me. So I acted on my own best interests. I mean, that's how I look at every issue. What's best for the city, not my best interest, what's best for the people, what's best for the city of Newport Beach. And I bring my own point of view into it, but I listen in the public discourse, and I'm often informed to modify my position in some way.
There's two issues that our own viewers have asked us to ask about, and that would be the lights out, shutting the bars and restaurants down at 11, and the dog beach.
Okay.
Because people really want the dog beach, it seems
Well, let's
like.
talk about, first, I'll take both of them. There was never, N-E-V-E-R, never a proposal to shut the lights out at 11 o'clock. That is a rumor, that's a falsehood, it is a misstatement. What there was a list that staff provided in response to residents saying, help make our neighborhood safe, particularly down in the Newport Pier area on the peninsula. So that was just one of a list of 15 different ideas. I don't even remember how many. And I had a town hall on it, bring it to the people, and determine it's probably not going to work. We eliminated that, as we eliminated a bunch of other things. And we netted out with, we need more enforcement. It's a non-issue.
Well, I think it's important to point out that it was supposed to be a potential solution to what was a community problem, and that's why it was brought onto the table.
It was one of a long list of potential solutions that existed for probably less than 30 days, just from the time it took staff to make a list, and then we have a town hall, and then we eliminated it. So there was never any serious. And
there was some record that said it was 5 months.
I don't, it's first I don't know. It was never seriously considered. There was no exploration of it. There was no debate on it. I don't know what to say.
And then the second one was Dog Beach. What is going on with the county land that people used to be able to bring their dogs to, but now are not allowed?
No, they can.
To go on?
I don't. You know, the county does what it does. Let me just say the facts. The city of Newport Beach has had a municipal code requiring leashed dogs on the beach between up until 10:30 in the morning, and then after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Frankly, there probably wasn't a problem about occasionally an unleashed dog on the beach until somebody, my opponent, started to promote it. And then that created concern by the adjacent property owners. There were enough incidents that residents said, help, do something. So there was never a dog beach. The laws that are on the books today are the same laws that have been on the books in Newport Beach for over 30 years. So there's nothing new. It's just the people wanted it enforced, the current law enforced.
So at the last city council meeting, we had some unfortunate reminder about the tragic loss of a child.
May I take a sip of water here? Keep going. Yeah.
From CR&R, a company that takes away the trash around the city. And we heard from the father who spoke about them, and we even both were talking to him after the meeting.
Yes.
I thought it was very heartbreaking to see that story, and then what looked like the council members kind of just not listening directly to what had happened and kind of just finding a reason to still renew the contract with that trash company. Can you provide some more insight on why council did?
I can only speak to what I did. As you heard, I had returned the contribution from CR&R, which incidentally I think is a fine company and has served the city well.
Because of the incident, or because they're a city vendor?
Well, mainly because the political season, this RFP was coming before the council, and actually there is litigation, and I just thought it's probably not a good thing to get in the middle of all this right at this time. But I want to emphasize CR&R is a good company, and they've served the city commercially in the residential communities now for a number of years. But they've reformed, the company, as I understand, has reformed their procedures. We've strengthened our safety requirements, but we could do more. And that was the reason I ended up voting yes, so we would have a voice in changing the behavior, or the procedures, I should say, for companies that serve in our residential areas, serve our city. Instead of being penalizing, I wanted to be constructive, and Mr. McCann is participating in that process.
Yes, he said he was interested. He gave us a lot of background on why maybe they're not a good company and they are just good at looking like they're a good company. One of them being, in order for a complaint to actually be counted, there has to be a police report attached to it, which would make any complaint not stick.
That's a good point. He did talk to me about that, and so we're going to look at that because I agree with him. So thanks to Mr. McCann to make us aware so we can solve a problem and make new policy.
Is there anything else you'd like to add and tell our audience for this election?
Can I talk about my campaign?
Yes.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Well, audience, voters of Newport Beach, all of you, because you all vote for City Council. We have 4 candidates. I would appreciate and be honored and grateful for your vote and your support so we could continue to work together to make our city greater and maintain and improve our quality of life and do the great things that everybody wants to do. But I'd be honored to serve 4 more years, and it would be a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Take care.
Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Diane, for sitting down with Riley to chat about public policy and community involvement. Best of luck in the election. And for your convenience, here is a graphic showing the faces of who is running against who. You can use this when doing your own research on who to vote for. But please, whatever you do, do not trust the mailers. The tip line's ringing. Good morning, Newport tip line. What's happening? Well, Kevin Muldoon has been up all night preaching ethics and justice to his son. The kid just came out of the womb. Give him a minute, Kev. That's it for today. This is Alex Crawford saying, from the back bay to the wedge, from Newport Coast to the river jetties, good morning, Newport.